Connecticut's Lime Rock Park is on a remarkable journey. It's called the Road to 60 to their 60th anniversary. And in that storied history, the Pirelli World Challenge has played often a key role. And it renews again right now. Few venues have as deep a connection to the Pirelli World Challenge as Lime Rock Park. This is the 17th visit for the series to this storied Connecticut facility. Welcome to rounds 10 and 11 of the Pirelli World Challenge GT Championships. It is the Lime Rock Park Grand Prix presented by Bentley. Hi everybody, I'm Greg Creamer, joined as always by Calvin Fish. And you know, Cal, this championship is absolutely fierce. It's intense. We've got amazing drivers, amazing cars. Now we throw them all into the bull ring of road racing here at Lime Rock Park. This track's intense, but this championship is equally intense these days.
Wow, it really heated up after the last round. Suddenly we've got two drivers tied at the top, Pat Long, Alvaro Parente, and the Cadillac boys just 10 points back as well. It is really ramping up right now.
You know, that nicely leads into our Pirelli storylines because, one, Patrick Long's journey, how he got to a position to be tied for that point lead is truly remarkable.
Well, after Barber Motorsports Park, he was down in 5th in points. He didn't have a team any longer, but suddenly he found a great home in Wright Motorsports, and boy, did they go to work sweeping both rounds. Maximum points at Canadian Tire Motorsports Park. On top of that, the Cadillac boys struggle. Suddenly he's back in the mix.
And let's not forget, at Canadian Tire Motorsports Park, the Bentley showed great pace. They seem to have found that pace for real, though.
Well, we thought maybe they would be strong there anyway. Dyson Racing were very strong last year, but talking to the team Absolute Racing here, they said, no, we have really found the sweet spot with this Pirelli tyre. They run these cars in the Asian GT Championship, Greg, but on a different brand of tyre. They've had to really find their feet. Right now, they could be strong again this weekend.
Now, they certainly seem to be clicking, no question about that. Now, you talked about the 2 rounds at Canadian Tire Motorsport Park. They were pretty interesting, so we thought we'd take a look back at those with our Kia Rewind. The 8th round of the championship started with Pat Long with his new team Wright Motorsports taking the lead from a Cinderella pole into turn 1, followed by the Bentley of Andrew Palmer and Ryan Eversley in the Acura. Long led flag to flag, but not without a fight from Palmer as the two traded fast laps with the gap never getting beyond 2 seconds. Eversley ran 3rd, Fong in the other Bentley was 4th, and Davison in the Nissan was 5th. It was a caution-free race and the 7th Pirelli World Challenge win for Long and 2nd this year.
In GTA, Michael Shine took the lead from pole in the sister Wright Motorsports Porsche 911 GT3R over class points leader Martin Fuentes. By lap 4, Shine had a 2-second advantage, while Brett Curtis trailed Fuentes in 3rd. Fuentes closed in on Shine on lap 19, but Shine was able to pull another gap in traffic and take the win, his first ever in Pirelli World Challenge, ahead of Fuentes and Curtis.
In GT Cup, Canadian Chris Green led early from pole over Alec Udell and Sloan Urie. These positions held until lap 17 when a tire puncture brought Green to the pits and promoted Udell to the front. Udell took the win, his 7th career Pirelli World Challenge victory and 4th this season, and that gave him the points lead. In round 9, a very different race. It started in slick overcast conditions behind the safety car, but once the green flag flew, pole sitter Patrick Long once again took the lead, followed by Palmer and Eversley. But contact at turn 4 between Fong and Eversley ended both of their days on that first lap at speed, and that advanced Davison to 2nd in front of Palmer in 3rd, Marcelli in the CRP Audi in 4th, and Heitkotter in the other Nissan in 5th. A lengthy caution and cleanup period ended with 27 minutes remaining. Long then went on to lead to the end for a sweep of the weekend in the GT class, leading every lap, followed by Davison, Palmer, Marcelli, and Heitkotter.
In GTA, Shine led from pole over Fuentes and Montecalvo. After the caution period, Montecalvo got past Fuentes for 2nd, but Fuentes fought back, regaining 2nd position in a side-by-side battle with Montecalvo through turn 5. Like teammate Long, Shine 2 swept the weekend in GTA, followed by Fuentes, Montecalvo. Double pole, double win.
In GT Cup, pole sitter Chris Green once again led Udell and Urie in the early going, and the order remained that way throughout, with Green avenging the bad luck from the previous day, taking his first ever Pirelli World Challenge win. We'll have to look at the highlights of the previous rounds, but there's always developments after that as well. Let's bring in the third member of our team, Jeff Leppard. Jeff?
Thanks, Greg. Couple updates here. Ryan Eversley, the number 43 Acura TLX GT, is in the number 42 of Peter Cunningham, has campaigned that car all year. Brian Eversley's car is in Wisconsin at Real Time Racing, getting fixed from the damage he sustained at Canadian Tire Motorsport Park. And run number 33, the J.D. Davidson in that Nissan GTR, a post-race penalty at Canadian Tire Motorsport Park for a false start. He's gone on a 3-race probation, so he's going to be binding his P's and Q's here today. And how about that front row? Alvaro Parente and Andrew Palmer, identical 51.950 lap times. They had to go back to who had the second fastest race lap to determine pole position here today.
All right, thanks very much, Jeff. Now let's take a look at our Porsche race analysis. Cal, this is a 7-turn track. They're known more by name than number, of course. It is also a short, less than a mile-and-a-half track. We've got a field of ferocious GT3 cars that are going to attack this place. I think that's going to be off the hook. But the best way for us to do that is to give you a lap around this place. Let's take a look at our Porsche track preview with one P. Long.
One lap at Lime Rock Park. This is Patrick Long with your Porsche track preview. Coming on to the Sam Posey straightaway, one of the tightest bull rings that we go to in the Pirelli World Challenge. An awesome track, tough to pass on. This is turn 1, late and hard, trail it in. Your first curve is here, release a little bit of brake pressure, let the car rotate. This is turn 2, pick up the throttle early. Usually you have a little bit of oversteer on the exit. Turn 3, classic trail braking, let the front out, wait for the front to come to you, then pick up the throttle. Try to maintain some pressure right there with the throttle as you go on to No Name Straight. It's a better visibility now. They've peeled the track back a little bit so you can see down here into the chicane. Slowest part of the corner, 50 miles an hour, second gear, up through the gears, approaching the final 2 corners, which is the fastest part of this section. West Bend, classic iconic corner, fourth gear, just under 100 miles an hour. Downhill straightaway, very daunting corner. Your final corner over 100 miles an hour, fourth gear, on throttle as hard as possible, and that is one lap. Not much time to breathe here at Lime Rock Park, but a spectacular place and such an icon in North American racing.
Well, that lap, you see why it's called the bull ring. And Cal, you know, people that say bull ring, you don't slow down much, but there's one area you better be ready on the brakes.
This racetrack comes at you at a frenetic pace, but one such corner is turn 1, and that is our stop-take brake zone for this weekend. You try and establish yourself down to the inside, but if you can't do that, try the high side. Try and hang on the outside and do the undercut. Certainly should provide some exciting action here this weekend.
And we've seen it play out so often, key moments developing down in that very section of track. And you know, a bit earlier we talked a little bit about the pace of the Bentleys. Well, you know, in the past when they were running with Dyson Racing, they had experienced veterans behind the wheel. Now they have 2 young guns, and they have found speed quickly. With more, here's Bentley's John DeVio.
So John DeVio from Bentley Motorsports, new program for the 2016 season. Tell us about it.
Yeah, this year we're partnering with Team Absolute Racing. They're actually a team based out of Hong Kong in China. The decision came about after seeing a successful season with them running in the GT Asia Series with Bentley Motors. They really want to take a stab at coming to North America. We had an opportunity to do so, so we're excited to have them on board and looking forward to a successful season, Jeff.
Some new additions to the team as well, with Adderley Fong and Andrew Palmer coming in as drivers.
Yeah, absolutely. 2 young and up-and-coming drivers. Both Adderley and Andrew, I have to say I'm very impressed with the way that they've adapted and adjusted to driving the Continental GT3. Really excited to see their talents and what they can bring to the table for Bentley Motorsport.
Well, definitely excited, and a lot of people jealous for Adderley Fong and Andrew Palmer getting to drive these beautiful Bentley Continental GT3s.
Well, it's been a great story, and we've witnessed that speed recently. Look forward to seeing what plays out here. Now, of course, we've talked a little bit about some of the key corners on this track. Kelly, you said they just come at you fast. There's a big one. It's called the VP Racing Fuels Acceleration Zone. Tell us how that's going to work.
On starts and restarts, as the pace car exits the track, the field enters the VP Racing Fuels Acceleration Zone. The lead car will be responsible for maintaining a speed from 50 to 55 miles per hour, and at the starter's discretion, the green flag will come out and everyone will unleash their VP Racing fuel.
Always a key part of the track in any one of our races. Now, though, let's take a look at our Motul Pole Awards, and we start with the Motul GT Pole Award winner. Number 9, Alvaro Parente in the McLaren, a 51.950 second lap. He starts up front. Let's hear from him.
Alvaro Parente on pole today, identical lap times to that second place Bentley, but you're able to extend that out a little bit longer on the 10,000th of a second to get pole position today.
Tell me about it. How close was it with, you know, it's never happened before, exactly the same lap time. identical, but then our second lap time was quicker. How close it's going to be, I don't know. Just see what happens during the race. Very hot. I like this track. It's great to be here. We worked really well until now. Big race going on, and just hope for a good start and a clean race.
Our Motul GTA Pole Award goes to points leader Martin Fuentes in the Hublot Under Armour Ferrari from Scuderia Corsa at a 52.449 second lap. And in the GT Cup, the Motul Pole Award goes to Sloan Uri. And boy, that's huge, earning him 7 points, closing him right back up on the 6 of Alec Udell. With that, it's time for us to get down to the front of the grid, where issuing that special command will be Bentley's marketing and motorsports manager, John DeVille.
On behalf of our friends at Optima Battery and Pirelli Tires and Bentley Motorsports Worldwide, drivers, start your engines.
Lime Rock Park Grand Prix presented by Bentley. Nice to have Bentley so involved. Great event earlier in the week down in New York, and great to have them here. You see, though, that beautiful Cadillac ATS-V, the official pace car of the series. And on the other end of this great field, our great partner Cadillac provides the Cadillac Escalade, our safety vehicle. Again, a couple of pace laps, and then we go racing, rolling start. Both of the rounds here, Cal, and as we watch the field roll off here, a couple of things to take note of. Guy that qualified fourth, Kyle Marcelli, it seems like every qualifying session he's finding 2 more spots. Obviously the track suits the car, but he's wheeling it.
He really is. They're really coming into form right now. They got a little bit of a balance of performance adjustment prior to Canadian Tire Motorsports Park. Had 20 kilograms taken off the Audi, and he rewarded that brand with a podium run here in the second race at Canadian Tire Motorsports Park. He lines up on the second row of the grid. So he's feeling pretty bullish about his chances here this afternoon.
And of course, Martin Fuentes on the pole. He needed that after getting seconds for the first time in the GTA category this year. And in GT Cup, Sloan Uri getting the pole over Alec Udell. That closed that margin back up to 6 points. I mean, it is so close in that GT Cup battle right now. It is spectacular stuff, as is the race that is about to unfold here at this beautiful facility, Lime Rock Park. Stay with us. We'll be right back with more here for the Lime Rock Park Grand Prix presented by Bentley.
The Pirelli World Challenge on CBS Sports Network is being brought to you by Pirelli. Power is nothing without control. And by the Cadillac V-Series, the first ever 464 horsepower 2016 ATS-V Coupe and Sedan, and the all-new 640 horsepower CTS-V Super Sedan. The Pirelli World Challenge on CBS Sports Network is being brought to you by Motul, official lubricant of the Pirelli World Challenge. And by Porsche, there is no substitute.
Welcome back, everybody. Lights out on the pace car. We're ready to go racing. The top 12, including our pole in GTA, Cal, covered by under half a second.
It was so close in qualifying. This should be spectacular, Greg. Look at J.D. Davison, mired in the back of the pack here after quali.
Wow, just amazing. Pace car has made its escape. We're in our VP Racing Fuels acceleration zone. It's up to that front row. Alvaro Parente on pole, that front row, as we know, dead even to the thousands. Onto the front straight we go, watching for the green flag, and 50 minutes of competition to unleash, and we are racing at the Rock. And let's see what happens here. Look at Long hunting, looking for an opportunity, Cal, and it's a nice move around the outside. Excellent start by Palmer.
Palmer, a brilliant move there. He used the power of that Bentley to out-accelerate Alvaro. Parente takes the lead. Parente tries to come back at him into turn 3.
3 abreast through the left-hander. Everybody trying to find their spot here at the moment. And it looks like Frankie Montecalvo may have gone around Fuentes and taken that lead spot away in GTA.
Look at them jostling for position down into the chicane. Johnny Red trying to rebound after a disastrous doubleheader at Canadian Tire Motorsports Park. Here comes Austin Cindric. He looks to the inside into West Bend.
Boy, tough to get it done there, but everybody's settling in. Look at that, though. Eversley and Cindric look like they were darn near side by side down the diving turn. You don't see that happen very often either, but Palmer up front working it beautifully in the Bentley.
In the background, you can see Eversley on the right-hand side of the straightaway trying to make some move. Parente runs wide. The grip is not there yet in that McLaren.
Again, going to take a little bit to get tires up to temp, and we did have just a little bit of moisture in spots, but then that cleared the sun right back out again. And John Fogarty doing a nice job right there as well in the Gainesco Red Dragon. Good to see them up. Still just fighting the handling on that car just a little bit, Cal.
Yeah, talking to the team this morning, since that crash at Long Beach, they just haven't been able to find their way. They're doing everything in their power. That's a championship caliber team. They will rebound, but right now they are struggling a little bit.
Good look there at Eversley, as we said, running PD's car. That's a big-time move from a team owner's perspective to step out, let the guy place better in the points, have the shot at it here at this track.
Look at the pace of these laps around here. It's like putting yourself in a blender.
We're going to hop back, take a look at the start in the GT Cup category, and Yuri had to go in pretty deep down into one to hang on.
What a fascinating championship this is developing into with these two youngsters. Parente now seems to have a bit more pace than Palmer, closing in just a little bit.
Into that chicane, very tight entry, hard right as opposed to flowing through the normal uphill. Then that quick transition left, then back right. And yeah, you're absolutely correct. It looks like now Parente, the flow is there again.
Palmer coming off, back-to-back runner-up finishes at Canadian Tire Motorsports Park. They're really starting to learn the ropes with that Bentley and this Pirelli tire. This team runs in the Asian GT Championship, but it's on a different tire brand. But now they're really starting to find out what pressures this car likes, and it is showing in their performance.
And I'll tell you, I think it was absolutely crucial for Palmer if he wanted a shot at this one. This track is not the easiest to pass on, and when you see, as we said, the top 12 covered by half a second, it's not like you've got a great straight line advantage to go motoring by somebody here.
That's right. It's very important as the track position because it is so hard, but it's going to be a long race here. A lot of the drivers are talking about the tire degradation. You really don't rest yourself or the tire around this racetrack.
And I'll tell you, what a great response later in that opening lap by Fuentes, as I definitely saw Montecalvo's nose ahead, and he was able to somehow get back around, and I thought maybe Shine had squeezed in there as well, but he's sitting right back there in third. So our top three in GTA running right with each other, 15th, 16th, and 17th overall. And an amazing thing that I hadn't really put it together, but Fuentes, Cal, prior to Canadian Tire Motorsport Park, set an all-time record in the Pirelli World Challenge, winning the opening 7 races straight, unheard of.
It was a remarkable streak, and he continues to build big points every weekend. He and that team, Scuderia Corsa, performing on every level. He said last year he had an injury, he wasn't as fit as he could possibly be. He's come back this year in top form, and it's showing with the results.
Yeah, he just has been superb. I mean, 9 races now, 7 wins, 2 seconds. Not shabby.
It's going to be tough for the other boys to catch him up, but it's still going to be entertaining to see Frankie and Michael Shine pushing him every step of the way.
And down the hill we go. Here comes Austin Cindric. And right behind there is the number 13, and that is the third of the Capex Pfaff McLaren 650Ss. And that is Colin Thompson, and he is our Optima Batteries Best Start Award winner, up 3 spots overall in the opening lap in that orange and black McLaren. And of course, he's a driver who's had a lot of success in this series, winning that GT Cup championship in a romp last year. As we have a good look at him here as he works his way through the left-hander.
Yeah, the boy certainly knows how to find his way to victory lane, and gradually getting to grips with this McLaren. Came out the back box super strong in the early rounds, has struggled a little bit, I'd say, in the last couple of weekends. Certainly not on pace with his teammates, but he's got a very bright future ahead of him. I raced against his father for many years in Formula Atlantic right here at Lime Rock Park, so there's good bloodlines there in that family.
He had that great third-place qualifying effort at Long Beach, and then got involved when he got tapped and knocked the arrow off of the car, and it wasn't there. And Barber was running well again, then had that wreck, and they still don't know if something broke or what happened. I wonder if that maybe just sapped the confidence a little bit.
I think he just hasn't got the momentum going just yet, and there's a lot to that in terms of your confidence and getting the car set up exactly how you like it. And the field is so competitive, Greg. If you're a couple of tenths off, suddenly it's 4 or 5 positions on the grid.
And that's your battle in GT Cup. Sloan Uri still nursing that very sore left wrist that he injured a little bit doing some longboarding, and still in all able to put the car in pole. And there's Corey Fergus, who, of course, won the Touring Car Championship in a Cayman last year in a Porsche, and now has made the step up and now is running in the GT Cup category in that Buyers Porsche US LED machine. But there is your leader, Andrew Palmer, doing an absolutely superb job in the Bentley, with Alvaro Parente in the McLaren, running right there with him, and Pat Long hovering in the background. We're going to step away for just a moment here at the Pirelli World Challenge Lime Rock Park Grand Prix presented by Bentley, but very early into what should be a fascinating 10th round of the GT Championship. Andrew Palmer continuing to lead here in round 10 of the Pirelli World Challenge GT Championships at Lime Rock Park. And I'll tell you though, we've been watching while we were in break, Cal, we were seeing that car starting to dance a little bit, particularly exiting Big Bend. He's feeling the pressure.
He was, and Alvaro Parente is really starting to put the pressure on, but I was amazed how much Palmer gapped him coming out of West Bend. I'm not sure if it's just a better gear ratio suitability through that corner and just gets the power down, and but he pulled a couple of car lengths, which really takes the pressure off when you get to that front straightaway.
There's a look at Mr. Long. What a story as he has had. We've talked about that, but he is running some pretty solid laps here right now, Pat, at a 52.9, and that's only a 10th off of what those guys have up front as best laps. But it almost looks to me like Pat may have found a little bit of pace, at least relative to those guys, because he looks like he's trimmed a little bit of that deficit.
Palmer got a bit of traffic there with Corey Fergus, and Parente's a lot closer. See Pat Long flashing the lights there, side by side, down into our stop tech brake zone. Brake looks to the inside. He makes the move for the lead.
What a crafty move by Alvaro Parente. Kind of sold him the dummy going to the outside and is knifed underneath. And we have a new leader, McLaren factory pilot from Portugal, Alvaro Parente. What a absolutely stellar move.
He set that up perfectly. You could see the traffic in the downhill bend. It stymied Palmer a little bit. They got side by side down in the stop tech brake zone, and Alvaro just sliced it to the inside.
Let's take another look at it here, Cal, as they come up in the back of Fergus.
You can see there, Palmer does not get through that final corner quite as quick. Alvaro slides it through the gap there, then he does the over-under as Palmer slips a little bit wide. As you said, he's been struggling for grip a little bit there in Big Bend.
That's precision driving right there. Now Long and also Marcelli have been able to clear Fergus, so that group of four up at the front, clear of all that traffic. And now that he's got a free run here, it's going to be interesting to see what Parente can do. And he's got enough of a margin, Cal, that he can run his line, it looks like, and not have to defend too much.
Yeah, absolutely. The McLaren looks to have a really good balance here. I think everyone was surprised at their performance at Canadian Tire Motorsports Park. I think they knew they'd struggle a bit up the straightaway, but I thought they'd have better handling there. They didn't seem to have the high-speed cornering balance that they were looking for, but here this weekend, they seem to be in great shape once again.
Yeah, they've got it here for sure. There is Martin Fuentes in the Hublot Under Armour Scuderia Corsa Ferrari as he continues to lead, but you can see, you heard that big thunderous V8 behind him. That is Frankie Montecalvo in that dime racing Mercedes, and he's closed up some of that margin.
Top three covered by just over 2.5 seconds in GTA right now. I'll tell you what, at Canadian Tire Motorsports Park, Martin just came alive. Remember, he got in that battle. It's like someone flipped the switch.
Well, that pass he laid in Moss, first of all, to get back around Montecalvo, and then the pass he put on, I think it was Fogarty, at the end of turn 8, that Ferrari was dancing on the brakes, and he said, I needed to have a car between myself and Frankie. I needed that buffer, and he made it happen.
He did.
There you see Eversley.
Had a nice start here. Up into the 8th spot, starting to put some pressure on young Austin Cindric. He's having another solid run.
And of course, the Acuras always carry our iBox suspension cam, so let's go on board and have a look at that. And, you know, they paved this track, Cal, but especially with the chicane, the changes of direction here really place a premium on setup.
It really does, but the iBox suspension is certainly not having to work as hard as it would have done in years past. This racetrack used to be extremely bumpy, and particularly the no-name straightaway. You were jumping around there. It was like riding a mechanical bull at times. But right now, the surface is really super smooth. It's got those nice exit curbs everywhere to allow you to use that extra margin.
And right behind him now and picking up some pace is Michael Cooper, who sits back in ninth, while his teammate O'Connell sits up in fifth. Oh, and a nice move there as Preston Calvert just realized the leaders were coming, moved well out of the way. But Parente is just checking out, Cal.
He really is. Once he's made that move on Palmer, got a better run through traffic. Palmer again getting the worst end of it in traffic. This could allow Pat Long to get a little bit closer. We're now getting into the thick of the action.
Yeah, Palmer just almost literally got parked here. He had a 55 flat that last lap, Parente 53.8. But right there, Parente lost a little of that back as he got kind of bottled up behind Sloan Uri. And the thing is, these other class cars, they can't just hit the disappear button. They have eventually got to turn into the corner.
Everyone has to be extremely patient. You've got to have your eye in the rearview mirror in terms of the faster cars coming up behind you. But for the faster cars, you've got to pick your moments around this racetrack. It's really about rhythm, just timing. Don't run up on the back of the guys, just like Dorsey Schrader told the guys in the drivers' meeting. Time your moves.
And speaking of timing, Cal Marcelli has closed in right on the back of Long. That battle for third starting to get pretty fierce here. May have been helped by some traffic, but it's right that there. Close, yeah.
So these cars really good into the brake zones. Really good around this racetrack. As Palmer now clears some traffic down the front straightaway.
So that time it was Palmer going the quickest to 53.7 to Parente's 53.9, but a good 53.7 as well by Patrick Long. So as qualifying showed us, this field incredibly close, although on a free track, looks like Parente might just have the margin. And so while he's got a little bit of a margin built up, we're going to take a quick pause here at Lime Rock. We will be right back to round 10.
The Pirelli World Challenge on CBS Sports Network is being brought to you by Nissan, innovation that excites. And by Honda Performance Development, Honda's North American racing company.
Alvaro Parente continues to lead here at Lime Rock Park as part of the Pirelli World Challenge Grand Prix here, presented by Bentley. And that K-Pax Pfaff McLaren has been absolutely spectacular. Once he gets onto a clear run, he's able to run times just quick enough that his margin now up to 2.3 seconds last time by. However, behind him, whole different story. Palmer, Long, Marcelli. Here comes that group covered by the proverbial blanket.
Yeah, these guys are really going to be duking it out for that next spot on the podium. Parente seems to have control of this race at this stage, but still over 30 minutes to go. Marcelli having another tremendous run here for CRP. Nick Short had a big smile on his face this weekend. He feels that they've finally got the car into the sweet spot where they can start to challenge for podiums on a regular basis. Frankie's off there in the Big Bend. Montecalvo goes for a ride in the weeds.
Yeah, boy, that, hopefully he's able to recover here. Here's another look at it. It's James Safronis.
Down into the stop tech brake zone.
Oh, maybe.
He just takes to the...
Ooh,
he's got something to miss with the front. The
breaker, cut
got
tire,
an issue
maybe.
there.
The tire's definitely now down, but I don't know whether that was something related to a mechanical or whether he just cut it somewhere.
This car's been through the wars a little bit this year. They're a good group. Continue to keep coming back strongly.
And I mean, he finished last year, he won the GTA championship, and at the end he went on a run and won like 7 of the last 9 to claim that title, and was thinking, oh, I'm looking forward to this year, and he just hasn't had the fortune he needs. When everything's gone well, he's certainly had the pace, that's no question, but look at this scrap shaping up for second, third, fourth.
Like Pat Long had quite a bit of understeer there through Big Bend, but then it seems to transition through the left-hander in turn 4 very well. The Bentley seems to struggle in that area, so there's a real yin and yang to this race circuit in terms of the different brands and how they handle this circuit.
Go ahead and look at this scrap here, and that's Austin Cindric running in 8th, Michael Cooper 9th, Cindric's teammate Colin Thompson in 10th. And again, Montecalvo struggling and just pulls it way off track. Nice move there, trying to get it to an area where he won't affect
He's got
any
more
of
than
the
just
other
a tire
issues.
issue, Greg, I believe.
I think so too. And look who's coming.
Yeah,
Fogarty is.
Fogarty's having a nice run here this afternoon.
53.5. And relative to some of the others here, yeah, that's his best lap, but more recently, clearly running quicker than this group in front of him.
Cooper now got a bit of a run on Cindric. A little bit closer. Thompson closes in on those guys. So you got 3 McLarens there in a tight battle between 8th and 11th position.
And there is a look at Martin Fuentes, and now with that problem by Monte Calvo, we have now Mike Shine sitting second, who came off of a sweep of the weekend up in Canada, but now Mike about 7 seconds adrift of Fuentes.
Touch of smoke there as he went through the right-hander. This is a difficult scenario, which I think these GTA drivers handle really well in terms of balancing. How hard do you push for an overall position versus the class victory? When the car's good and strong, seems like they're willing to go for it. Oh, that's really tight. That's a little bit late there on our GT Cup leader, Sloan Uri.
I think Martin realized that and eased out of it. And that's true. That's 2 class leaders right there, GT Cup and GTA, as we go back to this scrap for the 2nd spot. Still Palmer hanging on to it.
Still see Pat Long seem to be struggling with a little bit of understeer in some of the corners around here. See the car pushing out wide. You can almost see the steering input. You also get that aero wash effect that we talked about last weekend, Greg, through these high-speed corners. Car in front of you takes the air away from your front splitter. Makes it tough to follow closely.
Now, when you're driving one of these cars and you've got to push, not necessarily an aero-induced push from the wash, but just push, how do you change your approach to the corners?
Well, there's not much you can do. I mean, essentially, you can try and square off the corner a little bit. You can work with your brake bias. Sometimes if you want a little bit of rear brake bias into the car, or actually try and make the car rotate a little bit through the lower speed corners, not so much the high speed stuff, but through the twisty stuff there, through the S's.
There's a look at your leader, Alvaro Parente, for the Capex McLaren team. What a day he is having here. Leads now by 3.3 seconds over that great battle for Palmer, Long, and Marcelli overall and in GT. We'll be right back with a lot more, though, from Lime Rock Park. Alvaro Parente rolling through the exit of Big Bend, stretching his margin. 6+ seconds in hand now over Andrew Palmer, Patrick Long, and Kyle Marcelli, who are having a superb battle for 2nd, 3rd, and 4th right now. But Parente doing a great job, but huge clump of traffic he's coming up on here.
Yeah, but he's got enough of a margin right now to just really take his time, not take any chances whatsoever. Still a 6.5 second lead. That is a nice thing to have around this racetrack with the traffic that you will encounter. This battle is not going away for the podium positions here this afternoon. Palmer, Long, Marcelli continue to push hard.
And the fascinating part of this is that traffic that Parente went through, well, they're going to catch it too. Coming up on the back of Uri, continuing to lead by a big margin in the GT Cup category. And Parente, he couldn't quite get there. Palmer could not get clear. And now he's going to have to just track all the way around behind Uri. Opportunity here for Long.
Well, those GT Cup cars do not have a lot of downforce like the GT3. Oh, this is going to be tricky. Can he clear him? This is going to really stymie Long potentially. No, he clears him as well. Good job by Sloan Uri there, just getting out of the gas pedal and allowing the leaders through.
Marcelli got hung up just a little bit, but he clears him now down into the approach to the chicane. Now they're coming up on the back of Jorge De La Torre and Preston Calvert.
Well, Long's going to be looking for an opportunity here with the traffic up ahead. He needs to time it. See if Palmer gets balked a little bit through the downhill. Here comes Patrick Long, slices it to the inside. That was tight.
I think he knew it. I wonder if he was just thinking maybe I can get Palmer to just make a little bobble here. And Andrew, he just handled that beautifully. And you can see O'Connell back there flashing the lights. He's trying to get through because Adderley Fong in the other Bentley is absolutely on his 6. Good stuff everywhere we're looking, Cal.
It's amazing. Marcelli's right back with these guys, having lost 2 or 3 car lengths going into the chicane just 1 lap ago. He has closed that gap right back down.
Is it just me, or is this race just flown by? We're coming up, we're under 13 minutes left, and a lot of it's due to the intensity of this spectacular battle.
It's like throwing yourself in a blender and just hoping you survive around this place.
Boy, Long is just trying to be as obnoxious as he possibly can in Palmer's mirrors, isn't he?
He's trying to hassle him. He's got a lot of respect for this young man that he's competing for in that Bentley, but he's not going to give him anything, but he recognizes he's got a pretty mature head on young shoulders.
When you think about it, 2013 was the first year that Palmer ever raced cars. And he's now a Bentley factory supported driver. Long again, getting down to the inside there, but wrong side of the track.
Yeah, it's just not going to work, I don't think. He's always going to be on his flank unless he can do an over-under coming through the right-hander. But it could end up in tears because if Andrew comes up over on him when he's halfway alongside. Andrew, that didn't work at Canadian Tire Motorsports Park. Here comes Long, he's got to run.
Yeah, Andrew really didn't get through the chicane.
Watch Marcelli's got to run on Long. Marcelli's got to run on Long as they go down to the downhill.
Long covered that, and again, Long went to a spot, held it. That will be absolutely okay, and it parked Marcelli, but it sure looked like Palmer really struggled through the chicane on that one.
He did. He didn't have the speed, and Pat was putting the pressure on, but Pat's in a very tricky situation here. If he pushes too hard and loses momentum, he's going to lose that final spot on the podium to Kyle Marcelli this afternoon.
Going to check in quickly, and just here's another look at Martin, who continues to lead in the Hublot Under Armour Ferrari and GTA. Yuri continues to lead in GT Cup. And now, boy, Marcelli really thought about just going down the inside. Marcelli's got pace, Cal.
He does. I think he's a bit quicker than these other guys on a clear track. He's just got to get around him somehow, but time is running out. Just over 10 minutes on the clock.
Well, you wonder, as Long, pardon the pun, has run, but that close behind Palmer, you wonder if he's rooted the tires just a little bit.
I think he has. I mean, he seems like he has a little charge in him, then he has to reset, regroup, give the tires a breather, then have another crack at it.
And there you see, right behind this group, still Johnny O'Connell hanging on to fifth. He's actually been able to open up by about 2 seconds over Adderley Fong. He'll appreciate that a lot. And see if he's got anything to be able to chase down these guys. Now, one thing Johnny is one, if not the best in the business at, is tire management. And he can make it work, and that car often in the last few laps is relatively quicker than anybody else out there, although I don't think anybody can do a thing right now about Alvaro Parente, as that margin now up to over 7 seconds. He has been superb in every element of this race thus far today. And as he continues to lead, we're going to step away, but we will be back. Don't go anywhere.
The Pirelli World Challenge on CBS Sports Network is being brought to you by McLaren GT, manufacturers of championship-winning GT cars. By Replay XD, life's in HD, replay it. And by Optima Batteries, the ultimate power source. The Pirelli World Challenge on CBS Sports Network is being brought to you by BRM and by Audi, Truth in Engineering. Visit AudiUSA.com or schedule a test drive today.
Welcome back, everybody. Huge development here. While we were in break, there was a bit of a touch, and you're looking at the battle that is now for second. Here's what happened, Cal.
Coming down into our stop tech break zone, big bend. Palmer and Long got together, put Andrew in the grass momentarily. And we're hearing there's a penalty being called on Pat Long.
Unbelievable. And in the meantime, we also saw a huge moment by Adderley Fong, but he was able to hang on to it, and it didn't cost him anything. So the big story here is, I'm sure there's a lot of lobbying from the Wright Motorsports team, but at a certain point, you need to serve the penalty, or they just assess it at the end of the race. But sometimes if you don't come in and do the penalty, the assessed penalty at the end becomes even worse. What does Long do here? Stays out one more lap. Boy, it's getting curiouser and curiouser.
Yeah, I'm curious, because if he does it on the last lap, he's going to cross the stripe in pit lane, so I don't think that's going to be allowed, because he effectively wouldn't get the full pit lane delta, disadvantaged by rolling down pit lane. Marcelli looks to the inside. You'd have to think that Nick Short will be telling Kyle, just be patient here. Pat's going to get a penalty, don't throw it all away. He's not going to catch Alvaro Parente.
But he's going for it right here. Pat just lost that little bit of momentum as he had to juke around Jorge.
I think Pat maybe let him go also.
I think that's maybe having made the decision to make the pit stop. We'll see if he dives in this time. Yeah, he's dropping back.
Probably didn't.
I like my version better, but I think you're right.
I think he didn't want Marcelli all over his tail when he tried to get to pit lane. So it's a savvy move there by a very experienced factory Porsche driver.
You got that right.
There's the Bentley boys. They're probably not going to be smiling at Pat coming down here. It was just a racing incident. I'm sure there was nothing intentional there. They just got too close in the mid part of the corner where Pat was rolling a bit more speed than Andrew at that point in time.
So Kyle Marcelli second, but how about this one? Johnny O'Connell third.
They didn't expect that coming into this weekend with the same balance of performance as they had last weekend, so this will be a mega result for these boys.
And that does put now both of the Bentleys back up into the top 5 as we're into our final 3 in a few minutes. Johnny Red.
He really loves that traction control. You can hear it kicking in there. And he'll work as the tire deck increases over the course of the race. He'll keep working with that TC. There's various amounts of traction control you can utilize. It becomes more intrusive. On good tires, it will hurt your performance, but when the track gets slick and the tires are towards the end of the stint, it can definitely help.
Well, we were talking to both to Michael Cooper. We were talking about that the other night about how Johnny seems to use the traction control more than Michael. And Michael was going, yeah, we were talking about, well, that speed and all that. And then he said, yeah, but at the end of the race, Johnny's tires are usually a lot better than mine. He said, so there's a trick there that I've got to figure out yet. And that's just experience, isn't it?
It is, and you're used to controlling that with your right foot. You just feel the tire, you feel the grip, and you try not to exceed it. Well, with TC, you basically just put your foot hard into it and let the electronics take over. And certainly Pratt and Miller and the Cadillac group done a tremendous job with their electronics package over the last few years. We certainly saw that with the launch controls when we had
Without
the standing
doubt,
starts.
yeah. By the way, just to update you, Colin Thompson has made a couple of trips, I think, down pit lane here. He was up in that top 10 for a while, and now he's back in the order just a bit as we watch his teammate Alvaro Parente up on the back of Alec Udell. And look at this. Udell is, that margin to Uri is down to 2.6 seconds. It was over 15 not too long ago.
Well, is he managing it to perfection?
Yeah, but
certainly going to be a little close for comfort. All you need is a bad run through traffic with some faster cars coming up on you, costing you lap time. As we see the leader, Alvaro Parente.
Yeah, it's interesting. Now remember, Sloan does have that arm, left arm, and maybe it's just getting sore and he's given up a little bit here. But there is Alec Udell in that Euro World Global Motorsports Group machine. And again, when he didn't get the pole here and Uri did, it added 7 back to Uri's tally. And he would love nothing better than to be able to get up there and maybe sneak around him. In terms of the fast laps in the class, a 54.1 still for Uri. And Parente now comes through underneath Uri.
Being careful, leader's been cut down to just over 4 seconds, but seems to be well in control.
Yep. And I think that's management, as you said here. There's Marcelli. Parente up the hill through the chicane. White flag coming out this time by here in round 10 for the GT and GTA cars. Round 9 for the GT Cup cars. They did not run at Long Beach. In Parente.
Andrew Palmer just laid down a 52. No, sorry, that was from earlier in the race, but got pace still.
Yeah, ooh, look at that move there. Certainly Parente still running it hard as the white flag flies. Final lap. Down the hill we go. Marcelli, he just got bottled up in traffic. Yeah, lost about a second there. The margin back up to over 5 as he was caught in some traffic.
Great run for Ryan Eversley up into the 6th position for Acura in real time.
Yeah.
That's a tremendous job backing up that podium run last weekend.
Oh, and Shine looks to have been around. Did he get? He did. Mike Shine has gone around Fuentes. This is a huge development. They now start their final lap.
What can Martin do? Can he come back at him? He came out of nowhere.
Wow, what a development here. Meanwhile, down through the diving turn one last time, Alvaro Parente to the wall, to the K-Pax Lizards FAF crew, and a salute as he brings home yet another win. What a story. And that will be win number 3 on the season. The first one at Long Beach, you never really got to celebrate. But after that, oh yeah, it's been spectacular. Down the hill we go. And there is a look at Eversley as he comes down the hill. And that's Long, I think, right in that sandwich that he snuck around Cooper.
He did.
Boy, he needed that one.
He really did.
And here's the battle of GTA, Cal, and look at Fuentes is there. And there's some traffic. I don't think he's quite close enough. Wow, what a last few laps for Michael Shine. 3rd win in a row in GTA. We didn't quite catch what happened with Fuentes. Martin will be absolutely beside himself.
Michael Shine is for real,
isn't he? Well, that second race in Canada, his fast race lap was at 2nd off of Long's. That says something. And Sloan Uri, that margin was up. I looked once, it was 16 plus seconds. It got taken down to 3.3 at the end, but Uri hangs on to reclaim the top step of the box. There you see that blue number 17 of Udell in 2nd, Fergus 3rd. Jorge De La Torre ended up 3rd in GTA after the problems for Monte Calvo. And Parente, Marcelli, and O'Connell on the podium. And then both of the Bentleys. It's something. It's not what it could have been, certainly, but it's something. But what a story. When we come back, we will visit with our 3-time winner in the beautiful Capex Pfaff McLaren, Alvaro Parente. Welcome back, everybody, to the Pirelli World Challenge, Lime Rock Park Grand Prix presented by Bentley. And boy, it turned into an awfully interesting race right at the end after we'd seen the class leaders looking like they were going to romp. And it all starts with the overall win, and what a race he put on. Let's get down to Jeff Lepper with Alvaro Parente in the McLaren.
It's been a great run from you. You talked to pre-race that you needed to get a good start. You ended up 2nd on the start, be able to get back around the Bentley for the win.
Yeah, didn't get the best of starts, or at least on the first braking there, didn't go my way. But I knew we were strong. We had very good pace, and we practiced a lot with old tires and race runs, and we knew we were looking very good there, as you saw. And then took advantage of a little moment that was going on there on the on the first corner. Took advantage of it, and you know, managed to pass Andrew. So he was looking very strong at the beginning. Then I could see a little bit of movement there, you know, with his car. Maybe the tires wouldn't be and the performance wouldn't be as good as mine, you know. And big thanks to K-Pax.
All right, thanks very much, Jeff. And of course, that leads in, I think, to our move of the race, the Cadillac move of the race. Nicely, Cal. That pass he had to put on after he lost the lead on Palmer.
Well, it was superb racecraft there. Palmer got stymied a little bit in traffic. They went side by side into the brake zone. Then he did the over and under, and then it was clear sailing for Alvaro Parente.
And in the GT Cup category, Sloan Uri had opened up a 16-plus second lead. At the end, it came down to just over 3 seconds. Awfully close, Jeff, for our GT Cup winner.
Sloan Uri, your 4th win of the season. Way to recover after your injury for your hand.
Yeah, you know, it's been really tough these last few weekends, dealing with the hand, pretty much driving 1.5 hands, if you will. And yeah, I mean, my team just absolutely killed this weekend. I mean, we came off the trailer super fast, were able to get on the pole and, you know, lead from the get-go, never looked back. And with traffic, got quite a huge margin. And then maybe in a little bit too cute, I would say, looking for time. Made a pretty big mistake, but luckily the gap was big enough to where we could still retain the lead. And yeah, just very happy for True Speed, Security National Mortgage, and Evasys. Very happy to be back on the top step.
Well, he survived that one, and that was an important one, as Jeff pointed out, to get him right back into play, dealing with that injury to his arm. Now let's take a look at our key at turning point. Cal, I don't think there's any question, particularly in terms of the points, Long into Palmer and a penalty.
Well, it was huge. The battle for those podium spots was intense, and it got too intense at times. Pat Long just touched Andrew Palmer, turned him a little bit, got him in the weeds. That cost him a trip down pit lane.
However, to put a little salve on the wound for the number 87 of Palmer, he gets the Motor Trend On Demand Clean Pass Award. That happened right at the start, and that was his opportunity, wasn't it?
It really was. The acceleration down into the stop-tech brake zone for the very first time. He made that outside move stick and held the lead for the initial laps, at least. It was another strong performance by the Bentley.
Without doubt. Now let's take a look at our VP Racing Fuels Hard Charger Award, and it goes to Ryan Eversley. What a story. He just continues to be here, up 4 spots. overall in a very, very intensely close field during the course of the race today. Well done, Ryan. Our Motul Fast Lap Award winners, crucial. Why? Because it puts them on the pole in their classes for the next round of the championship, and 7 crucial points. In the GT category, Andrew Palmer in the Bentley, a 52.814. That was a scorchingly good lap in these conditions here. GTA for Fuentes, even though he didn't get the win, he ends up getting the pole in those points of 53.669. And in GT Cup, Sloan Uri gets the Motul Fast Lap Award, another 7 points at a 55.148. So that wraps up our coverage here of the 10th round of the GT Championship. When we come back, we'll have our call of round 11. Stay with us.
The Pirelli World Challenge on CBS Sports Network is being brought to you by Eibach, the world leader in high-performance suspension, by Bentley Motors, and by AFE Power, advanced engineering, proven performance. The Pirelli World Challenge on CBS Sports Network is being brought to you by VP Racing Fuels. Our passion is your performance. And by Kia Optima, not your average midsize sedan.
Welcome back to the Lime Rock Park Grand Prix, presented by Bentley for the Pirelli World Challenge, round 11 of the GT classes, round 10 for GT Cup. It is a warm and muggy day once again. Let's get to our Motul GT Pole Award. It was a great run by the 87 of Andrew Palmer in the Bentley. Fastest lap, 52.814, giving him that Motul GT Pole Award. However, big drama involving Andrew and Jorge De La Torre in the morning warm-up. Let's get down to Jeff for an update.
Well, thanks, Greg. Update down here on pit lane. Your pole sitter, the number 87 of Andrew Palmer in the Bentley Motorsports Absolute Rated Continental GT3, had a big incident in the practice session this morning with Jorge De La Torre. Both drivers stabilized and transported to Hartford International Hospital. They're under observation. No more news on those drivers. That's going to move Alvaro Parente to the pole position here today.
Wow, big news. Thanks very much, Jeff. Moving on with our Motul GTA Pole Award winner. Once again, it is Martin Fuentes in the 07 Hublot Under Armour Ferrari from Scuderia Corsa Racing at a 53.669. And in GT Cup, the Motul Pole Award goes once again to Sloan Uri in the number 20 Security National Mortgage and Avasis Porsche at a 55.148 second lap. Now let's take a look at our Kia Quad Box featuring those remarkable Replay XD cameras. Just a few of the great looks you'll be enjoying as we get this race underway. There's the indication from the Cadillac ATS-V pace car. 1 lap, and we are going green here and getting ready to go on this one. And Alvaro Parente, everybody working hard. Of course, it is a warm, warm day here. The humidity is up, I think, even more than we saw in the previous round. So there's certain things they're going to have to be dealing with, but it is tough to find a prettier setting for a race, and this one should be superb. And Cal, first of all, we've got the VP Racing Fuels acceleration zone that they're going to be coming up to, usually right about the apex of the diving turn is when we see them go. That's going to be a key run here, but this rolling start, this is important, and this starts the second half of the season.
Yeah, it's amazing. It's just flown by literally, and we start round 11 here today of a 20-race championship for the GT cars. GT Cup, one shy of that. But certainly this start is going to be mega important. We saw how important track position was. Yes, Alvaro Parente did make a move on Andrew Palmer to get the lead back. But I think for Patrick Long, he's got to have his sights set on trying to get to turn 1 in the lead if he's going to have a shot at Parente here today.
In the field right here, coming up through the exit of that climbing S and now into West Bend. And then we're going to go, and right about here normally is where the pace car makes its escape. The rule is the pole sitter then maintains that speed, lets the pace car get away just a little bit to be able to get a safe run down into the pit. So here we go. Parente with Long alongside, down in through the diving turn, and watching for that green flag to fly here.
Watch for Hyde-Carter on the 3rd row on the inside.
Good power in those Nissans. They always get great launches. And we're green.
There's a stack up there. Eversley moves to the outside in the Acura. He had a lot of pace this morning. Alvaro, the perfect start. He leads down into turn 1.
And look at Eversley. He's come up into 3rd, maybe 2nd, but now O'Connell dives down to the inside. He does not want to let him by. Eversley stays put. Can he make it work? No, he tucks in behind Johnny.
Beautiful racecraft there by Johnny O'Connell. He didn't force the issue too much, but just got the power down. gave Ryan a little bit of racing room. That's what it's all about.
And so, first time down No Name Straight and into the climbing S. And
Look
it
at
is
Davison. Look where Davison is. What a move on the opening lap.
Yeah, he was a lot farther back in the pack. That's a huge jump. Started 12th or 13th, yeah.
Unbelievable move on the opening lap. We've seen it so many times this year. That Nissan just comes to life.
That's the Air Now entry running from Always Revolving, and part of that great Replay XD team, as he, as you said, tucks right in behind yesterday's second place finisher, Kyle Marcelli.
O'Connell goes defensive down the front straightaway. Just holding that inside line. He recognizes that Acura has prodigious speed. And certainly Ryan displayed that in the morning warm-up, claiming the fastest time.
All right, here's a look at our GT Cup. They do a separate start, and Udell on the outside wasn't able to get the move on Yuri, and very quickly just tucked right in behind. And we'll talk more about that GT Cup scenario here. Interesting developments there, too, as we watch them through the climbing S and into West Bend.
Parente's car has come alive really quickly here today. Took a couple of laps for him to really find the rhythm yesterday. Then he seemed to have much more pace than Andrew Palmer. Looks like Long is struggling a little bit. Here comes a run by Highcutter down to the inside of Ryan Eversley. That was tight into the downhill.
And
Marcelli comes as well. He gets a run. Davison wants some of this as well. Wow, awesome stuff.
Yeah, it's almost 4 abreast for a minute there. Marcelli gets through, but boy, that allows Eversley to just sweep around.
Davison around the outside, takes his teammate, takes position.
Well, there you go, Davison. Boy, he is something in the first few laps. Always super aggressive, but he just finds that speed so fast, Cal.
He does. He's been put on probation for some of the action that we've seen this year. So, as they said in the camp this morning, we've had to tame the tiger a little bit, but he had a quiet day yesterday. Actually got hit on the early laps there by Andrew Davis. Hurt the rear diffuser and cost him some downforce. So it was a quiet day for JD, but he's coming back strong today.
And a look there at Ryan Eversley, and he sort of foreshadowed this, didn't he, with his pace in the warm-up today.
The key is going to be the long run. The front tires really fell off that car yesterday, not literally, but by the end of the run, he really dropped a lot of speed. And that allowed Michael Cooper and Pat Long to really close in on him on the final couple of laps.
And those three right now have kind of scooted away just a little bit. Some of it was that great battle that we had when they were 3-4 abreast behind them down into the front straight. But obviously these guys are just throwing down some awfully solid laps right at the moment.
Look at O'Connell. His car's looking really stable here. It's early going yet. This is going to be a long 50 minutes for these drivers to manage these tires, the temperatures. A lot of the drivers are saying they're really struggling at the end of the races yesterday with the heat and humidity here this weekend.
And you're getting another good look here at JD Davison. The reason is not a big surprise with watching what he did in that opening lap, Cal. He is our Optima Battery's best start, up 5 positions overall in the opening lap. That's impressive stuff.
It really is. It's something we've come to expect. That Nissan just burst to life. It's got really great horsepower, great boost there, but is a bit of an animal to get around this race circuit. They recognize that with the track configuration here, they would struggle a little bit. They're going to come to other circuits that they should excel. Certainly Road America, the next round of the championship, they're really looking forward to.
There's a look at the GT Cup battle against Sloan Uri. Finds himself in the lead. Udell tucks into second. Interesting, yesterday, the GMG team for Alec Udell, they were seeing potential rain, and they thought, we're going to be ready for that if it happens. They went to a sort of a compromise setup on the car. Uri obviously was able to drive away, and Alex said, I did get caught in some bunches of traffic, but Uri spin right at the end, and that got Udell within about 1.6 seconds. And Udell said, we made the changes, we're ready today.
Yeah, they're certainly hanging a little bit close. They were pretty strong in the opening laps yesterday and then faded a little bit. Uri got a big lead, 10 seconds plus, then had that quick spin, but had enough of a margin to just hang on by less than a couple of seconds.
And quickly having a look at what's going on in GTA, Martin Fuentes had pole and has been able to parlay that into the lead here. He had an interesting race yesterday with Shine getting around him right at the end. Martin would like to make sure he gets that top step one more time today in that Hublot Under Armour Ferrari. So we're going to pause for just a moment here. We will be right back with more in the very early going of round 11 of the Pirelli World Challenge GT Championships. Alvaro Parente leading here at Lime Rock, but they have already got into traffic. And Pat Long got trapped just a little bit in the Porsche Consulting Wright Motorsports Porsche. He'd been a bit closer to Parente, and he lost just a little bit. But both these drivers are pretty savvy. When they came up in the back of Corey Fergus there, they both actually timed it very well and really didn't affect that margin between them too much, did it?
It's all about rhythm. We certainly saw it last weekend in Canada at Canadian Tire Motorsports Park. Same thing here. This is a bull ring, and if you rush up on the traffic, you're just going to hurt yourself in terms of momentum. So you just have to time it. And it's difficult because the GT Cup cars have really strong straightaway speed. They don't have the downforce in those cars with the configuration, the spec chassis. So the GT3 machinery creates a lot of downforce, but consequently more drag.
There's a look there at Kyle Marcelli. Had a great run in the 10th round of the championship. And then there is the number 6, Austin Cindric, one of 3 Capex McLarens here. Right behind him, Adderley Fong in the Bentley Team Absolute Continental GT3. And sitting right now in that 9th spot, right behind Cindric. And they just haven't, at this stage, been able to do much with the Heitkotter-Davison duo in 7th and 6th, respectively. Be able to close up, and there's the margin as Heitkotter turns into the uphill.
See Fong there, his front fender flare has come adrift on the right front corner. Don't create too much of an issue, I don't think.
Just close quarters down at the start, probably. That opening couple laps, pretty fraught. There's Fuentes, as he has been able to put a few cars, at least I think that's James Sofronis, between himself and Shine. And Fuentes right now putting up some pretty good numbers as well in terms of lap time here.
Eversley's got
pretty close too, yeah.
Eversley's got quite close to Johnny O'Connell, so that Acura is showing strong pace in the middle of this race. Look at this battle tightening up for GT Cup lead. Yuri continues to hang on, but Udell's car seems very strong.
Yeah, Alec, talking with Alec and Nev, his engineer, Neville Agas, they said, yeah, we made some tweaks and we think that's going to really bring this all back to us here a little bit. And boy, these two guys have just been superb in this category, with Udell winning the opener at Circuit of the Americas, then Yuri going on and run, then Udell coming back and winning both of them up in Canada.
Colin Thompson had such a remarkable year last year claiming this championship, but at times these two boys really put him under pressure, particularly at the end of the year. And we can see that Colin Thompson has immediately made his mark in the stronger form of competition in GT with the Capex McLaren team. Had a couple of very strong runs this year. Hasn't had the best of luck, to be honest with you, but even so, has shown tremendous pace.
Well, and that's part of what this GT Cup category is an opportunity at a little bit reduced budget to be able to come in at this level of the sport and run in front of the GT team owners for the GT3 cars and the like, and maybe showcase it. And Colin Thompson was a classic example. Had that great year and got the nod to step up and run with the McLaren team here. And Eversley's closed right back up again on the back of Johnny O'Connell, but you almost have to wonder if this isn't that amazing experience of Johnny O just preserving tires.
Yeah, I think Eversley's car has really got some tremendous pace. It's not that slow through the corners. The twisty stuff is hanging tough and comes on really strong about halfway down the straightaway. Look at that, he's really able to carve these corners well. So whatever adjustments they made overnight showed up in the morning warm-up, but Marcelli's not going anywhere either. Had that brilliant run to ultimately finish second yesterday after Pat Long's penalty for through touching Andrew Palmer and sending him through the Toolies down in turn 1.
Yeah, Marcelli's last couple laps have been 1 to 2 tenths quicker than these guys. And you can see it. He has closed right up on it. He's driven away a bit from Davison and Heitkotter in the 2 always evolving Replay XD Nissan GT Academy machines.
His team manager and engineer, Nick Short from CRP, says we really love this racetrack. Mike Skeen won for the group back in 2013, one of the races. So he says, I know what to do with the car around this place. And he said, now we've got that little adjustment of performance with the BOP.
Oh boy, and here we go. Coming up on some traffic into the lead in the GT Cup. And we've got, again, Yuri split with 2 GT cars back to Udell. And it's going to be a matter of whether Alec is able to find a way to get down. This might help him. Yuri, and he shuts the door. And that's okay. Yuri is going, I'm in a race. I'm not just going to open this up.
Pat Long's got to run on him.
Come.
Long was watching that intently. Tried to time it. That was really close to contact there.
Oh, but Yuri has a bobble, and here comes Udell down the inside in the diving turn. Yuri going to try and make it work, finally has to give up, and we darn near had a change in the lead overall, and we did in GT Cup.
Wow, that backfired on Sloan Yuri there. He's very aggressive in closing down the door on our overall leader, and ultimately Alec Udell took advantage and watched that perfectly and sliced through to the lead.
Wow, so things settling just for a minute here. We need to step away here. We will be right back with more from what's proving to be a fascinating 11th round of the Pirelli World Challenge GT. Stay with us.
The Pirelli World Challenge on CBS Sports Network is being brought to you by Ferrari, by the Bob Bondurant School of High Performance Driving, official driving school of the Pirelli World Challenge Championships, and by Mercedes-Benz AMG.
Alvaro Parente in the K-Pax McLaren, number 9, yellow and black. And a beautiful thing that machine is, and a beautiful drive he has been able to put on it again today. But Patrick Long lurking, you just see the nose every once in a while here in this shot. As we are in here, the Pirelli World Challenge Lime Rock Park Grand Prix presented by Bentley. Did you see how Alvaro, that rotation there, he was almost able to just straight line the rest of that chicane. That's a thing of beauty.
Yeah, he's getting the car rotated perfectly there to really be back on power, get the steering wheel straight. He's not having to turn through the uphill section. He's basically got the car rotated. The car is straight. He's back to power early. Whereas I think Pat Long's having to work a bit harder through that section of the racetrack, and it's showing in lap time.
Yeah, it's interesting, isn't it? Both these guys running mid-53s. O'Connell right now running high 53s, even a 54. Eversley in the 54s. And then Marcelli in the 53s. And that's why this margin has sort of ballooned a little bit here between Patrick Long and Johnny O'Connell. The gap right now between those two sits at something on the order of, what, almost 5 seconds right now.
Yeah, and Johnny was hanging tough there through the first 10 laps or so, and then he's faded a little bit and coming under pressure now by Eversley and company. Martin Fuentes continues to lead from Michael Shine in the GTA class. Really impressive how he stepped it up this year, his game, Greg, in terms of his fitness level. He was injured a little bit last year, which precluded him from getting in the gym as much as he wanted to, but he's come back really strong this year, driving superbly well. Big streak of wins, and now also claiming podiums when he recognized he has a car that's not strong enough to win. He's not panicking and just doing what it takes to clinch a championship.
And another quick glance there at Alec Udell, and I think the reason is Jeff has made his way down to that pit and found out the secrets to their speed today, Jeff.
Strategy and the changes you made to Alec Udell cars seem to be paying off.
Yeah, they do. They do. Yeah, we just made a few changes overnight. That's really it. Nothing too special. Nothing too.
I saw Neville Gas up on the hill talking Alec down through the spotting there for him, so the crew chief up on the hill spotting.
Yeah, he's an amazing spotter. He's one of the best in the business for sure.
He does the spotting and does the crew chief for Neville Gas.
Paul looks for O'Connell. He's got a flat, I believe. Yeah. Right rear, possibly.
Looks like it, Jeff. Johnny O, very, very slow, just trying somehow to get that car around and into the pits.
Wow, devastating blow for the man, 4-time champ, who's currently second in points. He's just trying to stay out of the way. He recognizes the high-speed nature of this race circuit. Wonder if there was contact.
Very close call. Frankie Montecalvo was taking a run at Shine, and I think they came up on Yuri right as they were trying to go around O'Connell, and it looks like everybody made it through, but awfully close here. As we take another look here at Parente, as he's now been able to gap Patrick again.
Going for his 4th victory on the season. This car was driven by Kevin Estra to great effect last year. Kevin had 4 wins on the year. Kevin has moved on from being a McLaren factory driver, now drives for Porsche, running at the Nürburgring this weekend. Caddy's in the pits.
Yeah, Johnny O'Connell comes into the right rear, was down. Looks like it was a possible puncture. Don't see any damage to the Cadillac. No marks on the wheel. Out underway, he's back.
Boy, and I'll tell you, we don't normally see pit stops in the Pirelli World Challenge, but that team executed that tire change superbly.
Key is going to be if he stayed on the lead lap.
Yeah. We'll have to see here. I mean, it wasn't, I mean, it was a quick pit stop, but it was getting the car to the pits may have been the issue, right, Cal?
Yeah, they're certainly well rehearsed there. You can see it as a quick change, but coming down pit lane will cost you about 20 seconds plus the service, so it's about half a lap. So plus he had to crawl his way back around.
Meanwhile, Patrick Long has Parente in sight, but just right now, not quite able to match the pace at this stage. Then Eversley now finds himself in a lot more comfortable position without cars in front, right in front or behind. But Marcelli has been showing some very good speed. Of course, that's not going to promote Davison up into 5th, Adderley to 6th, Heitkotter to 7th, Cindric and Fogarty once again up into 9th. And we'll talk a little bit more about that Gainesco Red Dragon. But they finally had themselves a car they could race yesterday again. And John Fogarty thrilled about that. But right now, Parente continues to just stretch it a little bit over Pat Long. Fuentes leads over Shine and Monte Calvo. And Monte Calvo has been hounding Mike Shine just a little bit. And I think that that's certainly going to be a nice thing for Martin Fuentes to be able to deal with here. And Udell leading still Uri and Fergus. As we have a look here, watching Alvaro Parente leading down into turn 1. We're going to take a quick break. We'll be right back with more from the Pirelli World Challenge Lime Rock Grand Prix presented by Bentley. Wheeling it into the diving turn here at Lime Rock Park, Alvaro Parente in the K-Pax McLaren continues to lead. The margin back to Pat Long, always it seems, about a second to a second and a half. And then Eversley, what a day he is having once again, sitting in 3rd. But folks, then you'll notice we have no Johnny O'Connell sitting right back there behind. Johnny suddenly slowed and had a right rear tire that looked to be cut and had to make a move down into the pits. They did a very, very fast change on that, Cal, but just getting that car around into the pit lane, then the fix. With how short a lap is here, he's down a lap.
He's down a lap, so it's a long day ahead for the guy who came in at this round of the championship, 2nd in points, so it's good news for Parente. Pat Long continues to push hard. He's trying to rebound from a day yesterday. He'd rather forget at a podium potential in his race car. Made the decision to get aggressive with Andrew Palmer down in turn 1, turned him into the grass, and that cost him a drive down pit lane, and many points were lost. He'd like to have that back again.
Absolutely. There's Martin Fuentes continuing to hang on to about a 2.2 right now, 2nd lead over Mike Shine. And Martin has been running some very, very good laps. But on the last lap, Shine able to run a couple of tenths faster. But at least for Martin, he's got a couple of cars, namely the car of James Sofronis and Michael Cooper between himself and Shine. And he's going to like that little bit of a buffer. And he's also got Franny Montecalvo right there coming in, who's keeping Shine busy looking in his mirrors at this stage. Martin doing a nice job. By the way, while we have a moment here, I want to remind you that if you're big fans like us of this series and want to know what's going on, well, there's always the easy way to do it is social media to get your midweek updates. First place to go is the Pirelli World Challenge site at world-challenge.com. There you can get great video content, including links to live webcasts of these races, number of other bits of information. You can also, of course, go to Facebook, just search the Pirelli World Challenge Championship fan page, or on Twitter, just look for the handle at WC Racing. And of course, for all things racing, take a moment and check out Motor Trend On Demand, and it includes their archives of all the Pirelli World Challenge races, and you can start your free trial at motortrendondemand.com today. Here's a look at Johnny, ever the warrior, back out, but as you said, Cal, just down a bit right now. And you know, the problem is when you go down a lap, then you don't really have an opportunity, even if there's a caution, to be able to do much with it.
No, you really can't. You just got to keep soldiering on and hope that maybe some of the other players in front of you have issues. But his teammate Michael Cooper's not having a great day either. He's outside the top 10 in the 13th position. So tough weekend for Cadillac Racing, even though Johnny O did have that podium here yesterday.
He's never going to give up, that's for sure. And the man knows how to win championships and manages points exceptionally well. There's J.D. Davison.
I think this battle's going to heat up. Adley Fong's been a man on a move right now. Made some nice passes in this race, and he's starting to close in on J.D. Bentley has been very well balanced around this race circuit this weekend.
Yeah, he's been able to drive away from Heitkotter, hasn't he, and run him down at this stage. And taking a look here, there is Heitkotter, then here comes Cindric, and there is the Red Dragon, the 99, the Gainesco Auto Insurance entry from Gainesco Racing, and they found something this weekend.
Yeah, they've been tuning on this car. They really struggled up in Canada last weekend, but this weekend didn't roll off great. Did a test here on Tuesday. Thought they were close to the pace, certainly on new tires. Their pace, according to some of the other teams, was reasonable, but ultimately, if you're a few tenths off here, that's a lot around this short racetrack. weren't particularly happy with the car yesterday, even though it was improved, and made another change in the morning warm-up. So good to see John getting the confidence back. They're very strong coming out of the box at COTA with that podium run.
Yeah, they said this is a championship. It's tougher than we thought it would be, but we're delighted to be here because that gets the best out of us. And for Andrew Davis right there in the Calvert Dynamics GT Porsche, they too, that team has never run anything quite like this, and it's a steep learning curve every weekend, and we consistently see the second of the doubleheader races, Andrew has a better weapon to be able to go after it and race with, and that's what's fun. Boy, look at this.
Look at this. This
Traffic
is closing
now.
down.
Pat Long all over the back of Parente.
Again, those GT Cup cars accelerate quite well. Good job by Preston Calvert there in the Calvert Dynamics Porsche, allowing the 2 leaders by on the outside. Good heads-up driving.
Yep, good track awareness. Preston very good at that. So Parente down the hill one more time. Long, yep, couldn't take advantage of that moment of traffic. And while we have a bit of a breather, we're going to step away for just a moment. We'll be right back to Lime Rock.
The Pirelli World Challenge on CBS Sports Network is being brought to you by Lincoln Tech, America's Technical Institute. By TireRack.com, revolutionizing tire buying since 1979. And by Motor Trend On Demand. Visit MotorTrendOnDemand.com. Start your free trial today.
Working through the beautiful, twisty Big Bend into the left-hander, Kyle Marcelli in the number 2 CRP Racing de Vilbiss Hawk Performance Audi has found his way into 3rd place, a potential podium for Kyle Marcelli. Here's how it happened, Cal.
Well, you see, Ryan, he's really been struggling getting the car turned in, a little bit of understeer, which we saw late in the day yesterday. Misses the apex, and Marcelli just threw in a heartbeat.
And has been able to drive away relatively quickly as well and balloon that margin up at this stage. As you can see, he comes down the hill right now, and we are into our final 5 minutes. And Marcelli has nobody behind him. There is Eversley, so he's got some breathing room. However, at the front of this, not quite so comfortable here as Parente continues to be able to maintain that 3, 4, sometimes 5 car length lead. And I think you said it just a little while ago, you know, Pat obviously able to run similar times, but that's not enough.
No, I mean, Long's certainly keeping the pressure on. I think Patrick just needs to be as close as he possibly can within half a second maybe and get the traffic in the right spot and try and pounce. But again, he's got to think about the big picture as well. So what happened yesterday when he got a little bit too aggressive, got into the back of Andrew Palmer's Bentley, sent him for a ride, and he had to come down pit lane. Cost him a massive amount of points, so I'm sure it's in the back of his mind today.
Parente moves to the right underneath Uri. Meanwhile, we go back to this here, and Fuentes continues to hang on to the lead, but that margin right at that 1.5 seconds. And it really, I mean, that margin is basically the buffer of Sofronis and Cooper that split him right now from Shine and Monte Calvo. And a bit surprised with what we're seeing from the lack of pace from Michael Cooper.
Yeah, I mean, it's not been a great weekend. We talk about the Cadillacs grabbing a podium yesterday with Johnny O'Connell, but for Michael Cooper, he said he really struggled with the car from morning practice yesterday on. Didn't qualify well, didn't set a great lap time yesterday. But hats off to James Sofronis. He's really not here on a full-time basis anymore. To see that car running ahead of one of the factory Cadillacs, that's a brilliant job by James, and he's got a heavy heart this weekend. One of his true valued members of his team, Sergei Sheremenko, passed away this weekend in a motorcycle accident, so our thoughts are with him and his family. It's been tough times for the GMG group this weekend.
It has, and good tonic is to get in a race car here, and especially when you have Alec Udell, who we're watching right here in that Global Motorsports Group, Euro World, AmSource, Capital and Panther Pipeline Machine leading in the class, and you've got one of the real young, bright stars in Pirelli World Challenge here having a great day today, leading Uri now by some 9 seconds, who's a pretty bright star himself, no question, in that Security National Mortgage Avasis number 20 from True Speed. But Alec, boy, I'll tell you, just doing a superb job today as we are heading into our final 2.5 minutes as Alec through the downhill and onto the front straight once again here at Lime Rock.
Well, he had the championship lead coming into this weekend. He lost it after yesterday, and if he maintains the lead right now, he'll grab it back tonight. It's a seesaw battle in GT Cup for this season.
It is, and at 2.5 to go, we watch Parente as he heads into Big Bend. There is Long. That's the gap, first to second. Marcelli back a ways in third. but he's now got himself a nice little margin back to Eversley and some comfort. In fifth, Adderley Fong still trying to pressure Davison for that fifth spot, so a good scrap there. And of course, we've talked about GTA and GT Cup here at this stage. Ooh, opportunity here for Long.
Yeah, and this is the difficulty for these GT cars. They can't out-accelerate these GT Cup cars. Got more downforce, he'll dive to the inside, but it's not easy. But, you know, they get into the rhythm of this. They'll understand where those GT Cup cars have strengths and know which parts of the racetrack they can take advantage.
So this lap, maybe we'll see the white flag next time by. It'll be kind of interesting to see. I'm guessing it'll be next time by. And Long not able to take advantage of that. As again, Parente just read that beautifully, made the move.
It's now or never for Patrick Long. He's got to do something to try and close that gap a little bit further. Otherwise, even with traffic, Parente should have it his way.
They've got about 15 seconds back to Marcelli. Marcelli, we talked about, is a bit over 5 seconds. Actually make that 7 seconds now to Eversley. And then Davison and Fong. And you know what? Davison running a half a second faster than Eversley that time, partly because he's got Fong pressuring him, but also Eversley now consistently running mid-55s. That's not necessarily settled.
Well, I think that's what we call hitting a cliff with the tire degradation. You suddenly get where you got zero grip left, and that's really been working over the front tires on the Acura. I believe once again we're seeing him slipping through the uphill section. So similar deal to yesterday.
White flag, last lap, and Parente for the final time feeds it into Big Bend and works through. There is Long. That margin at exactly 1 second. It is exactly where it was the last lap. And Parente, he has just been so spot on consistent. The only time he's wavered has been in traffic when he's had to adjust. Otherwise, he has been brilliant once again today.
Well, if he can claim this win here and bring it home, it'll be his 4th victory in 11 races. The man had a tremendous reputation coming over here as one of the McLaren factory drivers. He has not disappointed.
Prior to this year, he'd never seen Lime Rock either. He had a test day on Tuesday. That was it, and he's able to do this. Pretty amazing stuff. Down through the diving turn, a sweep of the weekend, but we've got some debris, something on the track, and Parente comes through. Long is through.
Well, we say it's never over till it's over. Suddenly the leader had a bunch of debris right in front of him.
Here comes Udell, so he will claim the GT Cup win. And as you said, in that C-sub battle, goes right back to the top of the points charts. Marcelli should get that podium, and that's a good story. He does, comes by and picks it up as we're watching Martin Fuentes. Just a few more corners to put him back on the top of the box.
Boy, oh boy, what a race he's driven. He's had James Sofronis and Michael Cooper really as wingmen there, keeping Michael Shine back there at a safe distance, but nonetheless a superb performance once again for Scuderia Corsa.
Down to the bottom he comes in the Hublot Under Armour Ferrari, and that is going to be win number 8 on the year for Martin Fuentes. And boy, the celebrations are always fun when it involves Martin. He's such a fun guy. And Shine will be second, Monte Calvo right there in third. And for Udell, obviously he gets the win over Yuri, then Fergus. That's how it stacks up. We're going to step away quickly. When we come back, we will hear from our winners. What a weekend. Welcome back to the Pirelli World Challenge Lime Rock Park Grand Prix presented by Bentley. The 11th round of the GT Championship has come to a close. And I'll tell you, we had some interesting developments here throughout this race. And it all ended, though, with Alvaro Parente able to sweep the weekend. He's with Jeff.
Congratulations on your second win here today at Lime Rock.
Yeah, fantastic weekend. Unfortunately, what happened this morning was, I hope everything goes well, to Palmer and De La Torre. Hope everything goes okay. Very happy. Hope they get well soon. Just a great weekend for everyone. McLaren GT, we were the best out there today. And a big thanks to K-Pax and McLaren GT, and Lizard. So it's a great moment.
Well, 2 wins for the weekend for Alvaro Parente, but definitely somber mood down here in the pits.
Yeah, absolutely, and that's totally understandable. But boy, I'll tell you, they just continue to put up some amazing numbers as a team, and Parente as well, and it couldn't hurt him in the points.
He came into this weekend, Greg, tied in the points. Now he has 50-plus point lead. Patrick Long sits in second. Cadillacs round out the top 4, and Marcelli, the man on the move, in 5th.
Yeah, he's been pretty remarkable too. And while we're at it, how about we take a look at GTA drivers' points?
Well, Fuentes has a massive lead. He extends that here tonight. Frankie Montecalvo just hangs on to second. Michael Shine is closing in fast.
Well, and with that win, his 8th, let's get right back down to Jeff Lepper with our GTA winner interview.
Yes, so happy, man. So happy we were able to pull this. One of the hardest races I've ever done in my life. And tired, not a yellow flag. Always pushing, always having battles from behind. Amazing results. Thank you to Scuderia Corsa and everyone involved in it.
Wow, what a season he is putting together. Let's now take a look at our Cadillac move of the race. A brilliant pass in traffic by Alec Udell on Sloan Uri.
Well, he read that move brilliantly. We saw the traffic trying to come through the GT Cup leaders. Uri got aggressive, ultimately paid the price. Alec Udell swept through for the lead, never to relinquish.
All right, and here we're going to take a look at our GT manufacturer points now after 11 rounds in the championship. And we're going to also now move on and take a look and a listen to what unfolded in GT Cup. Boy, what a day today for Alec Udell in the number 17 Porsche. Jeff?
Well, your 8th win in Pirelli World Challenge, Alec, in a seesaw battle for that championship. On the other side of pit lane, you're too tired to even run down to see me.
Yeah, it's been a hot one out here at Lime Rock Park. Really got to give it to the guys at GMG, though. We had a little bit of a compromise on setup yesterday for rain. Didn't pan out quite like we anticipated, so we just collected the points that we could, and today we full dry setup, and obviously it worked really well. I was lucky to be able to get by Sloan during the GT traffic, but once again, great race. The car was awesome at the end of the race. Stayed consistent the whole way through, and got to give it to the guys at GMG, Your World Motorsports, Amsource Capital, Panther Pipeline, and Advantage Engineering. They gave me a great car, and just happy to be here.
Name, Alec Udell. Alec Udell.
Well, Team Motor James will find us there, congratulating his driver, Alec Udell here. A lot of people out of breath down here on pit lane.
Well, one thing you'll note, folks, with every one of these interviews, these drivers worked hard today. Everybody a bit out of breath, and understandably so. Let's take a look at our GT Cup points. Cal.
Well, Alec Udell came into this weekend with the lead. Sloan Uri took it away last night. Guess what? Alec Udell has it back.
Boy, it's just a fulcrum ride for these guys, whoever's on that pendulum swing at this point. Our key at turning point, I think it had to be the problems for O'Connell with that tire.
Yes, really big disappointment for Johnny O'Connell. He had another strong run going, potential podium taken away with a cut tire.
And our MotorTrendOnDemand.com clean pass of the race, a beauty, Marcelli on Eversley.
He is on form right now. Eversley gave it everything he had. He pushed a little bit too hard. Marcelli swept through.
And our VP Racing Fuels Hard Charger Award goes to the number 33 Nissan of J.D. Davison, up 7 spots overall as that race unfolded. To our Motul Fast Lap Award winners, number 9 Parente at a 52.494, GTA Fuentes at 53.427, and Motul GT Cup Fast Lap Award goes to Alec Udell at a 54.924. Next round of the championship, we move to another amazing venue, Road America in Elkhart Lake, Wisconsin. It is going to be something special. That wraps up the action here. From Lime Rock, for Jeff and Calvin and our entire CBS Sports Network crew, I'm Greg Creamer. In association with WC Vision, this has been a presentation of CBS Sports Network, your 24-hour home of CBS Sports.